Well, Satan is alive and active, that's for sure. And some have brought up that even the assassination of Charlie Kirk, demonic activity specifically in that. And, we're coming up on Halloween, and we live in, this part of the country. Jerry and I were just driving just north of the church here today, and everyone has their Halloween stuff out, but it's the largest group of witches apparently in the country live just north of the church here. Yeah. And as we were driving around, my spirit was just overwhelmed thinking about the wickedness before us. I just want you two to respond to this. It's a bit long, but I think it's really important in light of the days in which we are living.
Did witches, yes, witches, put a curse on Charlie Kirk a couple days before he was assassinated? And how does the far left feminist website Jezebel, yes, it's called Jezebel, what do they have to do with this? Well, CBN's Billy Hollowell joins us now. Billy, what can you tell us?
Initially I wanted to avoid this story when I first read about it, which was on the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. But now we can't avoid it because there's so many factors surrounding it. This was a story that was published September 8th by Jezebel. The story has an unnamed writer for the website claiming that in August she had gone on Etsy. Etsy is a website where you go to for crafts and, all different things. You can order all sorts of things there. Well, apparently you can also order hexes from witches. And so this particular individual went on Etsy and ordered at least one hex of Charlie Kirk. And so this article describes how, and again, it was published September 8th. He was murdered on September 10th, okay? So the article goes through all the steps she took, and she says, look, we're not trying to hurt him. We just want him to wake up with a zit. We want him to wake up with, all these uncomfortable things. They wanted to torment him by getting this, these witches to put a hex on him. So that happens. Now, obviously, he's assassinated 2 days later. What's so crazy about this is that the article even mentions that there was a petition, I believe, for the very same university. And the article's not live anymore, by the way. They've taken the article down. But there was a petition. And so this particular writer said, well, maybe this is working. Maybe the hex is working. People are petitioning for him not to speak in Utah on campus. Well, that turned out to be the campus where he ended up being killed. Now, the witch, and this is important, the witch who responded said, hey, your hex worked. It'll most likely take effect in 2 to 3 weeks. Now, you take a timeline out. This was happening in mid-August. Then you have the event happening on September 10th, or late August, rather. So that's the backdrop of the story. And there's more to it, but I'll sort of stop there and let you comment.
Oh, this is heavy. And Billy, you've actually written a book about this called Playing with Fire. And for maybe some people on the outside looking in, it's like hexes, witches. It just seems kind of, like this woo thing. But this is real. This is real spiritual stuff. And obviously you've dedicated a lot of your life to studying it. Peel the curtain back for us. Just what's going on here?
Yeah, this is interesting because a lot of people will say, well, this stuff sounds fake. And the people who are doing it, whether they're psychics, whether they're mediums who talk to the dead, whether they're people who use tarot cards or witches, that they're not engaging in anything real. What's so interesting, and this is important for people to understand, and Megyn Kelly, who we'll talk about in a moment, she described this on her show on Monday very well. The Bible talks about all of this. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that it's not real. What it says is do not engage with it. Do not go to, people who are psychics. Do not go to mediums. Do not practice witchcraft. And it condemns it in the strongest terms throughout the entirety of the Bible.
Wow, that's really true. The Bible condemns. This is not a game. Jan, you, in your younger days, were involved in the occult a little bit.
Well, you talk about exactly, because you engage just a little bit. You just give in just a few inches into this world of the paranormal. In my case, a Ouija board, which I became addicted to. We could speak for an hour on what that whole ordeal that I experienced as a 22-year-old, totally addicting. And I would ask it where it got its power, and it would tell me it got it from Satan. Tell me, it would spell out the devil. It was the most incredible experience. And remember, I knew better, and yet the lure was so great to pull me into this scenario, and therefore then destroy my entire future, the rest of my life. It would have, had I not seen the light and repented. But this is so serious, what we're just watching here, because we have a so-called holiday coming up in a few weeks that even churches are going to be engaged in. And I've said it on this platform a year ago. We have got to pull ourselves away from the fascination with the supernatural, with this, with Halloween, with everything that has to do with it. Please, I mean, no, whatever you call it, harvest nights, forget the whole thing, because the roots of all of that is totally satanic, and it will destroy, nearly destroyed me until I finally had someone praying for me and I woke up. You know. And it's very, very addicting. I have no words for how addicting this is.
Yeah, it's much like drugs, you know.
Yes.
You know, you take fentanyl and the impact of that, or
You're
different
gonna
types of
want more.
drugs. Yep, and there is a demonic
And
influence and
the
power.
suburb to the north of us, Anoka, is the Halloween capital of the world. Isn't that something to brag about, though? If they could understand what they're bragging about, just to the north of Brooklyn Park.
And like I always say, don't dance with the devil.
Yeah.